This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mins.
She wasn't born with it. It emerged in adolescence. It served her well in her early teenage years. Her closest friends and allies lined themselves up after the incident to be her acquaintance thanks to this unique ability. It didn't even require any thought or concentration. She drew the skill from pure instinct. It made her the teen queen of the school. It had no origin in human survival. She had no family history of it, nor had anyone informed her, so that she could prepare herself for its power and the consequences that came with its use. At 12, she would visit the animal shelter to volunteer. They would always let her in, no matter who was working that day, even if it was the grumpy manager Darren, whom she knew had secretly kicked the dogs when they wouldn't behave. If you ever kick any animal ever again, you will take your head, place your palm on the side by your ear, and slam it down onto a table 3 times until you pass out. She instructed him once when she caught him emerging from the cage of a schnauzer named Felix, who had suffered his wrath. "Okay," he said, as calm as his anger would allow. A week later, she was issuing water bowls to the new residents when Darren walked into the immunization room and she heard 3 loud slams on the metal bench. She poked her head through the door that was ajar and saw him lying on the floor, unconscious. When she knew she could ask for anything, she began to adopt those that she believed were at the most risk. That's what she told herself, though mainly she adopted them because they were cute. It began with one ginger cat she named Nigel. Then, as the strays began to pile up, she felt sorry for all of them and began taking them home, one after another. Soon, there were 11 in her house, and her parents were under strict instructions to allow the introduction of the felines, thanks to the power of her gift. There was something strange about this species of animal in particular. It was as if the cats knew of her abilities, and they feared and respected her as a guardian. She suspected the cats all spoke a secret language that meant no matter how many she would bring home, all would hold reverence and respect for her. At 15, she entered Mary Ellen High School in 10th grade, long after the students had familiarized themselves with one another and identified what made each other tick. She had fiery red hair, which instantly drew the attention of Tom Benson, the athletics champion who would tell anyone who'd listen that he was in line for a scholarship to Dartmouth. He smiled at her on the Tuesday as she walked to biology class. She was lost and embraced his warmth with the obvious question. "Can you tell me where room 7E is?" she asked. "I can do better than that. Follow me," he said as he led her to the room in question and littered the walk with discussion that focused on her and her story. She was comforted by his hospitality. He was in a relationship with Monica Diesel, who happened to command a superior place amongst the other 15-year-old girls at Mary Ellen. An instant dislike was taken to Joanna, and she found herself the victim of a series of pranks around her property that took place in and around the school grounds during school hours. It started at her locker, where red graffiti greeted her arrival after math class, with the word slut scrawled across. She was alerted before arrival thanks to the crowd that had amassed to point and laugh. After gym class, as she was changing her sports clothes back into casual wear in a bathroom cubicle, the contents of her school bag were seized at her feet and later discovered to be littered across the cafeteria. Everything inside was sprawled out, including her pads, which had been desecrated with foods of an unknown origin. Then the harassment continued outside the school. Social media accounts sprung up under Joanna's name with her face superimposed on the bodies of others, performing unspeakable acts. Friend requests were distributed to hundreds of students. Joanna knew the culprit immediately. On a Friday morning, Joanna walked over to the group as they sat together at the top of the bleachers that lined adjacent to the school running track. They were cheering on Tom as he warmed up before the bell rang. Their focus switched to Jo. As she reached the enormous heights of the steel seats, the girls were spread across. "Are you lost or something?" Monica asked. The girls chuckled. Joanna froze at their snickers. She had imagined this exact scenario the night before. She wondered if she just thought on the instinct, whether it would occur straight away. The power of her desire was more frightening due to its consequences. The stakes were higher than past uses of her power. Getting her parents to agree to the cats, the animal shelter to let her volunteer underage, or Darren and his self-abuse. "Monica, I could stand here, waste my time and yours, and try 2 options, or I could go with a third," she began. "Trust me, new girl, you're out of options." "Beat it," Monica replied casually. "Not true, you see." Joanna paused to claim a seat and swiveled back to face the group, eyes fixed on Monica. "My options are, I could say I'm sorry to you. If I caused you any offense and hope that this is accepted by you and your group, and we could try to start a new friendship today. But I know, judging from your body language, that you're too stupid to realize that this is the option that saves you, and you can go on to live a long and fulfilling life." Monica stood up and clenched her fists. "What the fuck did you say to me, new girl?" "My second option is I could slap you in the face and run for dear life. This too would not serve anyone any good, as we would forever be enemies, and you would have to keep a grudge against me whilst I try and keep my distance from you for the entirety of our time here at Mary Ellen." The group stood up with Monica, the twins Rebecca and Erica Johnson, and the other 8 girls got into formation behind their leader. Monica took a step down towards Joanna. "Or my third and final option?" Monica seized Joanna by the collar and lifted her. The 2 girls were face to face. "Girls, remove Monica's hands from my shirt, lift her above your heads, and throw her from the top of the bleachers," she instructed. Monica smiled. She broke out into a laugh. She looked away from Joanna, but then looked back to see if she was serious. Joanna maintained a stoic look. This made Monica laugh harder. She maintained her grasp on Joanna's collar and pulled her in closer. "You're a real comedian, aren't you, new girl?" Monica snarled. Rebecca and Erica seized Monica's right and left hand and clenched hard, causing her to relinquish her grip on Joanna. Shocked, Monica looked in disbelief at the actions of her friends and then back at Joanna. "Nope," Joanna replied.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.